Hi, what's up? Recording on two devices yet again. I apologize. I'm phlegmy, whatever. It's life. Look, again, I'm under attack, okay? I wanted to come here and be and try to be lighthearted, but it doesn't really do anything for me to be lighthearted because things are really bad. The situation is quite dire. It's bad, okay? I'm here to talk about the current state of the world. We're going home. The rapture is happening. But before then, I did let you guys know that there would be a menace that would be trying to kill me. And he would do this until he dies. And then another one is going to replace him. Well, he's just gone back to the drawing board. I told you there is some yellow candle that he keeps on burning. And I woke up this morning to yet another death threat. Essentially another death spell that he has conjured up. But this one has a different edge. It has something else going on with it, but I'm not really going to talk much on the death curse because I keep talking about death curses, but I just want to talk about women in totality. Okay, listen up. There is literally no force more destructive to a woman's life than an evil man. I cannot say that enough. There is no force more decimating to a woman's life than an evil man, or a man that does not make sense. A man that just rocks up and starts to destroy. Like this evil presence in a woman's life is the tantamount of a person walking into a house that they don't know. They've never been in it. They don't even have keys to go in, but the door's been left yawning. And so they go in and they start to look around, and then from just gazing at the glory of this house, they then start to vandalize it, throw a vase on the floor, disarrange the spoons in the kitchen drawer, throw cups and saucers from out of the cupboard and on the floor, breaking them, go to the wardrobe in the bedroom and start to rip the clothes off the hangers and throw them on the floor. Then grab some kind of flammable substance and sprinkle it all throughout the house. Light a match, throw it on the flammable substance, and then get out. Then once they get out, the house explodes, and then there is a gratification, a sense of relief in the man, and it causes this man to burp. That's what a man that is utterly and incredibly just destructive. That's what a bad man is in the life of a woman. And I'm not here to talk about bad men because everybody knows a bad man can destroy a woman. I'm here to talk about the fact that other women know this. Women are aware that if you want to utterly shatter a fellow female, if you want to destroy the life of a friend, if you want to destroy the life of a female colleague, if you want to destroy the life of a sister, a daughter, if you have got it in real bad for a fellow female, you are wasting time trying to destroy careers. You're wasting time trying to destroy their skin by breaking it out. You're wasting time trying to make them insecure by downplaying them, talking down to them. You're wasting time because this chick can brush herself off, dust herself off, and come back around again and do a better thing. She can try another career if you steal that from underneath her feet. She can go to a dermatologist, see a skin specialist if you break her out into melasma and acne. She can talk herself up when you downplay her. When you cause her confidence to be busted, she can just listen to one motivational tape and then she's back on her feet again. And it's like it never happened. She bounces off. If at first you don't succeed, dust your feet off and try again. So because the Lord has given us self-preservation as a gift, to just keep striving and pushing, man is made for adversity, but the Lord grants us favor to conquer adversities that come in our lives. So the human spirit is very resilient. We just keep pushing and striving and pushing and striving. And even when people treat us like trash, we try again. We come back and we cut people off. We lay them off. We make sure that we don't have presences in our lives that are destructive, and then we move forward. We take a step forward and we move on. But there is something that you can put in a woman's life that will utterly shatter her to a point of irrecovery. She cannot come back around again because of what it is that a bad man can do in the woman's life. Worst case scenario, she dies. Best case scenario, she comes out on the other side, in and of herself, a destroyed woman that is a destroyer. There is no single more destructive force in the life of a woman than a bad man. In a romantic establishment, you must understand how destructive this is. I have witnessed it. I have observed it happening in the lives of my own friends, in elderly women that were older than me, a generation up, that were so embittered by men that they could not love their children. Women that have lost children. I am going to tell you some stories that will give you goosebumps and help you understand why, oh why, under heaven it is that, yes, like it, for the life of me, my very painful life, my excruciating existence, this does not compare. This meager existence that I live right now does not compare to the sorrow I would feel if I compromised, if I settled with a wicked man. Only look at what rejecting one did. Look at this man in America. Look at his murderous streak. Look at how homicidal he is. Look at how much he is hell-bent on killing me because I rejected him, because I said no when he tried to come back in. So what under heaven if I was so dumb as to let him come back in? What have happened to me? If I had let this guy come in, if I had embraced his apology, if I had said, very well, let's try again. What the heck? He's trying to kill me because I won't get back together with him. That is what it is that he's trying to do. And I'm in a bad shape right now because the death curses are really they pang on me daily like a bad headache. Like when he has cast these spells, I get overwhelmed by this depression that I have to conquer every single time. And when I get to the other side, when I overcome the new hurdle, he sends another one. He is my tormentor. Do you understand? But I am fighting him gladly and fortunately from a vantage point where he's there and I'm here. I am only surviving him because he is not in my immediate environment. I am grateful he is as far away as he is in America, and I'm in South Africa. He can only torment me with spirits. That's all he can do. But I promise you, if I had met this man in waking life, flesh and blood, right here in my neighborhood, if I had known him, if he had my address, if he could actually get to my physical environment, I would have been killed by a boyfriend, an ex. Do you understand? I would have been killed by an ex. He would have gunned me down. He would have located me. He would have stalked me wherever I was at. He would have broken down the bars and the gates of my premises and finished me off. This is a man that is doing what so very many other women have died at the hands of, but he's unable to fulfill the fullness of his wrath against a woman walking out. Because he's so far away. He's in the US. Otherwise, if I had met him in my hood, if he knew where I stayed, if he had any access to me physically, if he could get to me really quickly, he would not waste time with a death spell. He would just finish this thing off, come here, put a few live rounds in my body, and then go back to his little hole, hide, be a fugitive from the police until they catch him or whatever. Or maybe even commit suicide, because this actually is a murder-suicide. This guy, the Lord showed me that once I died, he would, my disappearance on social media would after some time make him go crazy, climb up the walls until he ultimately would put a gun in his mouth and pull the trigger. So I'm waiting for him to pull that trigger without me dying. He's going to eventually do that. He's going to eventually kill himself because he will be frustrated by the demons that are going to be whispering in his ear 24 hours a day, making it impossible for him to stay awake without being tormented. And out of a moment of insanity, he will just drive that bullet through his mouth and out his skull on the other side. So he will die. But in the run-up to, I do want you guys to understand what this devastating menace in America has been sent by. This man in America has been sent by women. He has been given bravado by women. He has been enabled by women who seek the destruction of another woman. No matter what, come hell or high water, these women are not necessarily interested that I should die. These women want me to compromise and settle. And I keep saying, this is not even about pride. This is not even about me saying, oh, please, I'm bigger than that. I deserve better. I know what I asked for from the Lord, and I'm gonna wait for it. And so make you as a woman jealous because, ooh, I finally got what I wanted and I'm better than you. Busy singing Shantae Moore's song. Shanti's got a man at home. I got a man that's better than yours. That's not beating you up. That's not afflicting you with reverse psychology. That's not gaslighting you. That's not, no, I'm not here trying to sing a silly song gloating over women. I'm trying to warn women as to the actual true dire, mortifying nature of a wicked man in the life of a woman. The very men that you insist your girlfriends, your daughters, because you're a jealous mom, your sisters, because you're a jealous sibling, your cousins, because you're a jealous relative, your niece, because you're a jealous auntie, whatever it is that you are trying to downplay or downgrade the quality of the life of your friend, of your fellow female. That whole feat in trying to put a woman in a bad household just so you can all just pride one another in swaying left and right and being miserable with bad men sometimes can put some women 6 feet under. South Africa is a chaotic mess. It is the cesspool of darkness that I frankly cannot stand. It is struggling very much with something called gender-based violence. It is the worst country to live in as a woman. All right? That is South Africa. It literally statistically is the worst country in the world to live in as a woman. Femicide is through the roof. Women keep getting dropped like flies on the daily. Most of the cases don't even make it to the news, but the statistics are horrifying. Okay? And I like to say that South African women, shut up. I really like to say that South African women must just shut up already. Stop trending rubbish on Twitter. Hashtag am I next. Hashtag gender-based violence. Hashtag men are trash. Hashtag whatever. Shut up. Proper literally put a sock in it. And the reason why you should put a sock in it, women in South Africa, especially black women, is because you are often the reason why some of the most horrific, menacing beasts of men are in the lives of the women that end up dead. You are some of the biggest reasons why these women stayed with men that they were not supposed to stay with. I am grateful that my particular afflictor is far away. And I'm also grateful that my ex-boyfriend is a coward. Too much of a coward to come here with a gun and shoot me dead. Something that this filthy animal from America isn't. He is a criminal. He's been to jail for attempted murder. He is the kind of dude that can unleash a live round in the skull of a woman without batting an eyelid, going on right ahead to eat McDonald's afterwards and burp. So I met a very violent man, unbeknownst to myself. But I have thankfully not garnered for myself such violent men to that nth degree in my country that can come to my immediate premises and kill me. All they have conjured up in their stupid bones are death curses. When they fail, they then give up. Like my ex-boyfriend has tried to get me to commit suicide. He has done a death spell on me because I'm embarrassing. But after it failed, he was like, yo, hey, whatever. He was even scared in doing it. He was trepidatious. He was experimenting. And when it failed, he let go. Because he's not a typical bloodthirsty animal that can easily just even physically kill. He's a coward and he hides behind spurs. But I'm currently dealing right now with somebody that is a bold, brazen, and outward actual murderer that the US of A allowed out of prison, and now he is terrorizing a woman in Africa. Now he is terrorizing a woman in South Africa, and he's gonna die. Nobody's going to put a gun in his head. No car is going to crush his lungs in an accident. He's going to take out his own life. He's going to end his own life because indeed he lives by that particular methodology, that sword, and so he will die by that sword. He's been trying to kill me, so God is going to kill him the very same way that he's been trying to kill me, by suicide. And he will not be able to exercise the self-control that I am currently exercising. But this animal, this menace that keeps on sending me death curses, that keeps on making sure that I can't rest, that I can't breathe, that keeps on basically saying, you're only going to last a week, you're only going to last 2 weeks. He is investigative in the worst way and obsessed with my ministry to a point of daily investing in some kind of sorcery or every second day or whatever. He cannot catch a break because his demons are tormenting him to a point of driving himself to the edge by trying to drive a Christian to an edge. The devil is trying to kill him by his attempted murder of me. He knows that the end result is going to be his own death, so indeed the devil wants him out. Anything at all to take a soul to the abyss to finish it off. And so that's what's going on with that guy. But what menace he is, understand that he is similar to the man that had John the Baptist massacred. I said that. He was told by a woman, I want the head of John the Baptist on a platter. A woman, Salome, was responsible for the murder of John the Baptist. If she had not inspired or influenced a man to kill John the Baptist would not have been killed. A woman was behind all of that. And women, you must understand, the reason why I like to say, especially to South African women, shut up. Shut up. Stop crying. Stop complaining. Snot and trana. Stop rocking up at the funerals of women you have brought to the end of their lives. Groveling over the casket. And then having the brazen audacity to literally be like, to the men that are in the country, basically complacent, blasé, la-di-da, nonchalant over the dominoes that keep on dropping of women all over the show. Guys that were regular Joes and regular whatevers that ended up killing like some random animal that literally put blood on his hand when he was just some regular stupido working a 9-to-5 in corporate. Nothing of him seemed suspect. Nothing of him seemed like it could one day murder. And then one day it has put a woman in a casket because frankly it becomes an animal. No longer does it deserve human pronouns. It's an it now. That's what's good. The little thing has put a woman in the ground, but the signs were all there. The signs were all there. The evidences were all there. A man that is passive-aggressive, that can't stand the prosperity of a woman. A man that is chauvinistic. A man that ever since your girl started dating him, her freaking personality changed. She became withdrawn. She stopped being herself. She allowed herself to drop the ball on certain things in her life that she generally did not drop the ball on. She's changing her, mind about solid convictions that she has because this dude has somehow swindled her virtue set from right underneath her feet. There is no single more destructive force in the life of a woman, and I will say this over and over and over again, than a bad man, than a wicked man. And when these boyfriends end up killing these women, you women, shut up. Like, y'all make your crocodile tears stop with your silly little fluffy, mournful spirit at the funeral of your best friend. When you were the one that, never mind, introduced her to that animal that you knew was an animal. But when she wanted to leave, you kept on being like, but you guys have been together for like 5 years, come on. And when she told you this is why I want to leave, and the reasons were wealthy enough for you to embrace as, yeah, girl, no, get out, you were like, no, Mara, come on, everybody has a bad day. And then when she is dead, you conveniently neglect to highlight that you were the one that encouraged her to stay in that relationship. Instead, you go rather, idiot, foolish, Dumbo females, shut up, do that. You go on right ahead, Kalifu, you go on right ahead on the memorial service, where, because you, the best friend, you get to tell a speech at the funeral, right? At the memorial service. Speak about how it is that 5 days before she passed away, she sent you a text message telling you how it is that this guy said ABC, how he did ABCDEF. And you neglect to highlight that portions of that conversation, part and parcel of that conversation, at the end of it, you told her, hey, man, this guy, he really needs to get his act together. He sucks. Like, what he did to you, girl, was wrong. But I mean, that's your man, girl. Give him time. He'll breathe. You know that he's good for you. He's the only one that understands you. You conveniently neglect to highlight that at the conversations that you're all having on a round table discussing the late woman. You talk about how it is that she told you that he was beating her. She told you that he was speaking down to her. She told you that she is depressed. She told you that she's trying to get up, but she doesn't know why she feels drawn to him to stay. She told you all these things, told you all the horror freaking stories, okay? And you told her, Mara, these guys, Mara, it's like, why won't they get their act together? Don't they see we love them? But girl, hold on, ain't no man ever done this for you. No man has ever bought you a car. No man has ever done ABC. You encourage a woman to stay with a wicked man. I will tell you my own story, and then I will also tell you stories of some friends and also a woman from the past of more or less my mom's age who experienced a horror of an eventuality because of a wicked man. When the Lord, so wait a second, guys, when you don't know love from God, when you don't know the love of the Father, you will allow yourself to stay in a relationship with a wicked man. And because you don't recognize the love of the Father, you also don't recognize a horrible Salome for a friend. You don't recognize a Salome for a mother. You don't see a Salome for a cousin. You don't see a Salome for an aunt. You don't see someone that's literally making out of you John the Baptist. Your head will be on a platter one day. You will have to stand before God at the judgment and account for your life because somebody has cut it short. And a lot of these women who pass away don't even know Jesus. So they literally get killed to go to hell by some pretty deadbeat men. And I keep saying, I'm not here gloating and fronting females. I'm not here sitting on the rooftop literally trying to be like, Shantae's got a man at home. I got a man. I'm not trying to gloat at you for being the better girl because I'm waiting on Jesus. Hey, like Sandra D. Look at me, I'm Sandra D, bursting with virginity. Won't go to bed till I'm lawfully wed. It's me, Sandra D. I'm not trying to boast and gloat my chastity of 12 years in your face to make you feel like trash. No, I'm trying to help you understand, Uguti, this is self-defense. This is self-defense. This is self-protection. This is completion in Jesus to recognize Usalome all up in my grill, however, making herself a friend. A frenemy. I have been given the wisdom of the Lord to recognize that solitude and isolation is far better than having a backstabbing female that's going to one day tell a speech at your funeral when you would have warned her, girl, I'm in trouble, and you would have rather encouraged her. However, you will conveniently neglect to highlight that portion of your conversation. You will only tell people, we saw this coming. We saw this coming. This guy was dangerous, we could tell, and I mean, goodness gracious, I didn't expect that he would take it to this extreme. However, the signs were all there. You will conveniently highlight the portions of where it is that you counseled your girl to basically, be strong, and that this man is trash, and that how could he do that to you? But you will forget to let them know that you also told her to hotella, ubegezela, lie nonsense. You've a damn lie in the black community where you be telling women to stick around with some filthy animals. Telling women to basically prepare their own funerals, put their affairs in order. Because when you tell a woman to go back to a bad man, when you tell a woman to accommodate a wicked animal, you are basically telling them to get their affairs in order. To make preparations, start writing a will, sister girl. Start writing a will. Leave something for your daughter. That's if this little animal does not kill your daughter, and then turn the gun on himself. You are literally telling a woman to make sure to tata proper. When you start a relationship with a guy, you might as well take out a life insurance policy. Because one of these days, your family's going to need those proceeds. One of these days, your family's going to need money to survive, to basically bury you. Might as well take out a funeral policy on yourself and a life policy. A little bit of $1 million with Liberty Life, so that your sister can get an inheritance to pay for her university fees, given that you're in a relationship with someone that will inevitably freaking end your life. He will code you. Do you understand? He will code you! Mara, no. You don't want to admit it. I'll tell you a story. My ex-boyfriend. Okay, first let me tell you this particular story. I got stories for days and names on Jella and late guys. I'm going to explain these stories. And I apologize if I keep on bursting out into my tongues, my language. I am largely speaking English, so please hang ten with me if all you can speak is English, because frankly, this is an epidemic across the world and not just in South Africa. I just so happen to live in the worst country to live in as a woman. I just so happen to live in gender-based violence central. I just so happen to live in feminism, femicide central. I just so happen to live in like some of the most menacing men all over the show, teeming at the folds, groveling with blood dripping off their fangs, having exsanguinated the blood of women central. Okay? When I was working in corporate South Africa, there is this colored girl, right? That was a lawyer. She worked for legal legal and regulatory. For MTN. She was the legal and regulatory resource in the projects of many of the project managers in my business unit. At the time, I was a program administrator. So I was a program coordinator. I was not yet a project manager. I had yet to be promoted, but I worked with a lot of project managers. And one of the project managers that I worked with was also a friend. And she was well acquainted with this woman who was always working for her in her projects from a legal and regulatory vantage point, to basically make sure that the project adheres to regulation according to South African standards, etc. You get the point, right? Yeah. There was a road show that was had on a Friday for level 3s. Level 3s were basically anybody within management and upwards. So project managers went to that road show. I was, however, level 2, so I didn't get to go because I was lowlier. My position was more junior in the organization. So at this level 3 road show meeting, sort of kind of gathering, whatever, company, team building, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, this legal and regulatory lady was there with all the colleagues, and they were laughing, cheering, drinking, having, fun, basically team building, bonding, all that jazz that is the company was trying to achieve through that whole thing. And that was the last time that anybody ever saw her. That same evening, where they saw her drinking, cheering it up a storm, goodbye, see you Monday, she was butchered by a boyfriend. She was, like, I guess a lebe, that would be an axe, yes. She was chopped up into a whole bunch of pieces by a boyfriend that, listen up, the security guard opened for because he knew him. He had seen him a few times driving in and out, and so when this woman would not open for the boyfriend, upon the boyfriend calling, this guy was like, no, I'm just here to see my girlfriend, you know me. He had been a long-term boyfriend, so a couple of years, and so given that the security guard was used to seeing this guy, he just opened for him. Next thing, there are screams. Neighbors, of course, did not intervene because this is South Africa. Nobody intervenes when a woman is crying. And I already spoke about this. Cowardice going on all over the show. The Bible says that cowards will not enter the kingdom of heaven at the end of the Lord's word in the book of Revelation. He says that outside of the dogs, the cowardly, So basically people who stand back and do nothing. Why? Because they're scared for their lives. Why? Because if you don't have the Holy Spirit, you're going to be scared to die. However, when you have the Holy Spirit, you understand to live is Christ, but to die is gain. And so therefore, you're not scared that should you intervene in a brawl, a ruckus, where a man is killing a woman and get killed, you will go to heaven. To live is Christ, but to die is gain. To intervene is godly. I don't know how many times my mother has often asked me, what? Utashwa, you will die. You will pass away. Whenever there's somebody that I think is an intruder and I'm like, hey, wenzani? And the person runs away, my mother's like, one day they're going to put a bullet in your skull. And my thing with that is, let them. I'm not going to let some intruder steal from people's cars in the complex. There was a dude that was in the wee hours of the morning. Basically, he's like trying to open people's cars. He slipped into the gate after some person exited the complex. And he's just slipped in. And he started to like open cars and whatnot to see if you can't find anything. And I could hear a shuffle outside in the wee hours of the morning. So I went out and I found him and I was like, hey, I pursued him. I'm the one that basically raised the alarm in the complex until people woke up and whatnot. And my mom was like, one day you will die. And I was like, okay. To live as Christ, but to die is gain. The reason I had that level of bravado is because I'm not scared to die. Why? Because I have the Holy Spirit. Really, frankly, if it's my last day, cheerio. We celebrate. To die is gain. But when people don't know Jesus, all they have is this earth that they're latching onto, so they swing like a chandelier, like Sia, on this earth, wreaking as much havoc and protecting themselves and themselves only at the expense even of women. Men are no longer the men they're supposed to be, that are supposed to protect women and children, because they're too scared to basically go to hell. They're too scared to have breath taken out of their lungs, and so they don't intervene. So women in this country get butchered, screaming and yelling until it goes quiet, and then the neighbors call the police, and they discover that this person that's gone quiet is now in like 7 different pieces. And that's exactly what happened to Nomfazwana at MTN. That's what happened to her. She screamed and yelled, and even that security guard that opened for that random did not do anything on time. And this woman died. She was slapped and beaten and axed until she died, and only once he left, once he drove out, did they then call the police. Not only were they brave enough to check what exactly happened, and then booyah, her body was discovered in multiple pieces on the floor. She was massacred by this dude because of a cowardly South Africa that stands back and does nothing at women, due to the fact that this cowardly South Africa is ungodly. So because it's ungodly, it's scared to die. It's scared to die. I've had one of the carpenters but electricians that helped my mom out in these streets. When I told him the story about the burglar, because they came the next day to do some electrical work, he was like, yo, uzoshona sisters. And I was like, you're a man. You're a man. Why the heck are you disquieted by the fact that I tried to intervene over some criminal that ended up running away because I'm the one that screamed? I'm the one that was like, thief, stop thief. A woman's voice. And a man the next day said to me, when I explained the story to him, he was like, yo, and indeed, brother, because I'm going home. You don't just get to sit back and do nothing. So every time I peep my head to see if something's going on, every time I am curious over a brawl, a raucous, every time I get closer to a scene of something disturbing, people are like, I'm like, but like, I don't care. Who else is going to intervene? Who else is going to scare off the criminal? Who else is going to do it? If not for me. Because men are not standing up. People are too busy being scared to get knives driven into their hearts to do anything. That lady from MTN passed away. A horrible death. On Monday, though, it was like a whole sorrowful affair at the office. It's like Jack Sparrow had passed away. If you've seen the movie Pirates of the Caribbean, all those candles being lit all over the show with people singing because Jack Sparrow was swallowed by the Kraken. Yeah, it was like Jack Sparrow had died, the way that it was just so disturbing. The life in that woman was vibrant and there on the Friday. And on the Monday, she was gone. Monday evening, I tell my boyfriend on the phone about this thing, and I was like, oh my goodness, some chick passed away. My ex-boyfriend, the one that I was dating at the time, the one or that has also tried to put a death curse on me. I tell him, I'm like, yo, there's a woman in the office that was killed so horribly. She was butchered by her boyfriend in her apartment. He was let in, blah blah blah. And he was like, oh my goodness, whoa, that really sucks, etc. And then something in me made me, literally, it was almost as if though it was from God. I was not saved yet. It's like it was the Holy Spirit from about trying to convict that I was with a guy just like that. And automatically there was a shift in my mind where I asked my boyfriend, I was like, would you do that to me? Like, it just came to me. Like, I asked him that question. You would imagine that it was bizarre for me to even ask him that question. Karabo, where does that come from? This guy's never laid a hand on you. This guy's never done ABC. Yeah, etc. So why would you think that this man can do this to you? I asked my boyfriend, I was like, like, would you get to a point where you're so mad at me that you would kill me? And my ex was like, Garab, why are you gonna ask me that? And indeed I was like, I'm sorry. What was that? It's called a gut feeling. I asked this question, I brushed it off. My ex felt accused. Indeed, I felt like I was out of my mind crazy, accusing him. Lo and behold, couple of years down the line, the same ex-boyfriend would then indeed try to kill me. God death curse. But not before all the signs were there. So I asked my ex, would you do this to me? Because gut feel tells me that you could. Brush it off. And that same ex-boyfriend, unali busy kana like no man's business in the relationship with witchcraft, would not let me go. Every time I wanted to leave, I was drawn back to that environment precisely because of the witchcraft that he had used to keep me in the relationship. So insecure he was that I would leave this particular union, that he bewitched sexual relations between us. I already spoke about this yesterday. In other words, to make sure that I don't cheat on him, he did something to me. It caused sex between us to be extremely painful, but there was also a time in the guys, like what? This is what my ex-boyfriend did to me in the relationship. In the run-up to me, not in the run-up, sorry, but in the season after he cast that spell, sex started to burn. It started to be uncomfortable between the two of us. I was sexually active with him at the time. I was not yet saved, so I did not have conviction over fornication, right? So I was sexually active. I was a fornicator. That's what I was. Sex started to hurt. I could not go more than one round because then it would burn, and I would have to take a break for like 3 days, and then only can I have sex again. That happened. It felt as if though it wasn't that much of an issue because we weren't living together. He was there only on the weekends. So I guess if you only get one round on a weekend, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? But that was not the only problem. There then arose another issue. I was on my period for 3 whole months. 3 months, I was bleeding non-stop. Did not understand why I was bleeding. I went from gynae to gynae to gynae to gynae. One gynecologist wanted to operate on me. One guy wanted to operate on me because onale money hungry, right? I wanted to get, and then he also recommended, I told him that I wanted birth control. That is not the pill because I was sick and tired of taking the pill. So he recommended a Mirena device, and he was like, during I would recommend that you get a Mirena device, and then I will also take out what I think is a cyst in your body, and that's why you keep on bleeding, whatever. He was just money hungry. So I went for a second opinion, and the second opinion doctor was like, no, you don't need to do such a thing as that. And I'm glad I didn't get the Mirena device because it lasts for 5 years, right? And that was like maybe 3 years before I lost everything. So I would have had this thing in my body for 2 years without medical intervention. I don't know how I would have taken it out in persecution. So I guess it was ideal that I didn't go that way. I just continued to pop the pill. That's all. That's the only way that I was preventing pregnancy, etc. But that's what my ex-boyfriend did. He messed with my instruments in a spiritual way, and gynaes could not figure out what was wrong with me. It stopped on its own. I had no issue. I was not malnourished. I was not eating badly. Nothing in my life had changed except I was bleeding for 3 whole months. 3 months yonke. Period. Just coming and coming and coming. Going through boxes of tampons like no man's business. And you don't think that that's a man that can one day kill you? You don't think that that's a man that can one day put a gun to your head and unleash a bullet? He did that because he was like, you will not be with any other man. I never cheated on my ex. I never even had the desire to. For crying out loud, I was so ride or die, and I was so faithful that frankly it wasn't broken, but he tried to fix it. So that's a man that if you want to leave, he's going to be like, over my dead body, you will leave in a casket. He did that by showing me that I was going to basically see flames if I did cheat on him. If I did decide to go out on my ex and have sex with some other dude, I don't know what would have happened. Whatever he did to me, it was to prevent me from having sex with any other guy. I never did it, so I didn't get to find out what happens when a person casts a spell on your lady part so that they will never be perused by another man. I never got to find out because I wasn't a cheat. I never even learned. But what would have happened? What the heck would have happened if I tried to cheat on my ex, guys? What was going to happen? I don't know. All I know is that the results of his witchcraft, the initial results of them, was that I bled for 3 months. Go fail. I bled. And then the bleeding stopped. I then got dreams where I was seeing him in a compromised position, and I would tell him about them. One day, I was sleeping next to him. I woke up next to him, and I was like, yo, babe, I had a dream about you. That I was like encircled by a sea of snakes, sitting on some wall in the middle of them, and I saw you in a distance, and I cried out to you for help, and you just walked away. And he acted as if though he rebuffed me. He acted as if though nonsense. So he was just like, whatever, man. And then we just woke up and carried on with the day as normal. He was busy with me, Garitar. Why? throughout the relation. I don't know at what point he started, because he wasn't always like that in the beginning. In the beginning, he wasn't holding me hostage with witchcraft. I don't know at which point in our relationship he started, but I started getting dreams and I started getting funny little reactions in my physical body. I would never have been able to exit that relationship if it wasn't for Jesus. I got born again. I was born again out of that relationship. I was saved out of that relationship. I came to Christ at the end of that relationship. And it was his behavior towards me at the end of that relationship that made me cry out to God because I was in so much pain. And then boom, I got saved. I got set free from whatever under heaven he put in my body. And trying Jesus and now whatever it is, I told it on his manhood and put it in me. I don't know what he did. I was set free from that bondage on the day of my redemption. So I will never learn what under heaven would have happened if I had had sex with some other dude. I will never learn how that sorcery would have been effected if I tried to go out on him. I don't know. Mara, that is the kind of man that you can trust with every bone in your uncomfortable body, can put a bullet in your skull if you should decide to leave, or if you should speak to him in some funny way. So while my ex-boyfriend never laid a hand on me, while he never beat me up, and also while he didn't have violent tendencies, there were signs already. That was the spiritual component of it. That was the spiritual facet of things. Now for the physical, my ex-boyfriend on two or three occasions he stole money from me. On 2 or 3 occasions he stole money from me, and one time it was so bad that I went to the police station, and the police told me, yes, in South Africa, this country's rubbish. The police told me, Ojo, it was a woman at the police station, the police lady. She was like, Ojo, your love. Are you sure you want to open a case against your boyfriend? Because I've seen women like you coming in here crying about domestic violence, blah, blah, blah. Next thing they are closing the case and it's wasting police resources. So, Ojo. And when this woman was basically trying to talk me out of opening a case against my boyfriend, I then called his mom. I was like, your son has stolen my money. He has left with my bank card. He knows my PIN code because he was listening in when my mom once upon a time came to borrow money from me. I gave him my bank card and I told him my code in front of my boyfriend. He remembered that code. He literally jotted it down, for crying out loud. And then one weekend, because we were living together at that time, took money out of my, my bank card out of my purse and left an entire weekend. And I kept on getting text messages on my cell phone of 500, 700 rands, 1,500 rand. Like by the time he was done, something like 2.5 to 2.7, 2,700 rands was taken out of my bank account, and there was nothing I could do. I eventually did a stop order with the bank. I called the fraud department, and then I went to the police to try and arrest him, and the police officer lady there basically I stood in the gap for my boyfriend. She was like, sure, because drop a case. Tomorrow you're going to come here and drop your case because it's your boyfriend. I contacted I told the mom, I was like, I'm going to arrest your son. The mom begged and pleaded with me and was like, oh, Karabo, I don't want to have another son in prison. Please. There was my ex had a brother that was in prison at the time. And so I was like, for the mom, like proper, I sang her that Monica song, for you, I will. But you must understand that he must reimburse me every last cent that he took. And on the day when he got paid his salary, then he paid me back that 2.7. So he was short 2.7 for the month, but he stole money from me. That was not the only thing. He then also later on, when he finally got a car, because I had a car first, when he finally got himself a van, my petrol card went missing from my purse and found itself in my purse again. I used to budget a certain amount of money every single month because I knew that I could sometimes be irresponsible with money, to make sure that I always had petrol to get to work and back. And at the very end of the month, when I was left with the last 200 rands, I worked very close to my work. I used to live in Honeydew, and I worked for MTN, which is in what is this, a Northcliffe, go 14th Avenue. You know the different, if at all you live in South Africa, Johannesburg, you know Gauteng, you know how close Honeydew is from the MTN building. So petrol was not that big a deal for me every single month, but I used to budget for it just in case I decided to party it up a storm, spend all my money, splurge, and be left with no money for petrol. I always used to, I got a petrol card with my bank for that reason, in order to basically budget for gas. So I used to put just enough for the month, and I was left with just like 3 or 4 days before the salary would get paid, and so I had like 100 or 150 bucks or something left in my petrol card. I went like to the gas station to pour petrol. I went to the garage to pour petrol, guys. And after that incident with my ex, I ended up saying whenever I would pay for gas, I would first ask the petrol attendant to charge my card to see if there's money in my bank card, and then only pour the petrol. Before, I used to pour the petrol and then only pay because I trusted that I had budgeted. This guy gave me PTSD so much that no longer do I do that. Now I pay first. Every time I go to the garage and I'm using my card, I always pay first before, I always, just in case there's been fraud done on my bank card, I always pay first before they pour gas so that I don't have to deal with the situation that I dealt with that day. I went and I told the gas station lady, dude, sorry, pour 150 rands into my car. Why tell 150 bucks into my car, give him my petrol card, decline. What? I don't have money. I don't have anything. Try to call my mom. She's not answering. I was panicking. Like literally frost was coming out of my mouth. Like, cold air. The way that I was freaking out as to what in the world is going to happen here. Am I going to be stranded kukaraching? What's going on? Some good Samaritan dude rocked up, knocked on my window when he saw me panicking. And was like, how much is your bill? I was like, it's 150 bucks. Why keep Hashem, the poor guy? Why that? He paid it with his own bill. He saw that I was panicking. I was like, yo, that was an angel. I don't know what's going on. He didn't ask for my number. He didn't try to do anything. He just saw a damsel in distress and paid the bill. That was God. However, that day, I learned that yes, an angel and rubbish. When I went home, my boyfriend was there. He was there. When I went back to my apartment, I was like, dude, my card declined. What the heck? I couldn't even call him for crying out loud. I was like, my card declined. And he was like, askis, yo, guys. He basically confessed that he took that money from me. He paid it back, but at that stage, it's like, I don't care that when I bust you, you ultimately pay me back. Bottom line is you stole money from me. That was not the only event. There was a time we went out partying and I gave my ex-boyfriend my card to withdraw 300 rands for us to buy drinks, basically to drink it up a storm at some like club nyana establishment thing, and he decided to withdraw 300 rands just as I told him, and then withdrew another 300 rands for himself to pocket it. I saw this on my statement. The next day I checked it for whatever reason. 2 300 rand withdrawals. He thought I wouldn't pick it up because I used to earn more money than him at some point. I started out dating. When I started dating him, he was earning more than me, but then later on I earned more than him. Yeah, because I grew like that quickly. Yeah, he took the money. I confronted him. He was like, I'm sorry. He was always just like, I'm sorry. Yeah, this was a man that used to steal money from me. Like I told you 3 or 4 times that this guy used to steal from me. So first there's the witchcraft. There is the whole thing with my vagina, the sex that hurts, and then there is the bleeding for a month. So the spiritual manipulation, me getting all these dreams about him, talk about them, he rebuffs me, and then there's the physical issues that are going on here. Then there is all the other things that happened. When I talk to him, he would act like he's listening, but he's not, blah blah. This is a relationship that I was in for 5 years, and every time I would tell my best friends. So I had like a handful of friends that I would tell these tall tales to. Okay? My cousin was one of them. My former best friend was another one, etc. I'd be like, Yazi, and even my mom. I'd be like, Yazi, let's say his name was Bobo. I'd be like, Yazi, Bobo stole money from me. During the season, the one that used to, that made made me most livid and made me throw my toys out the cot the most was when he had taken my card over a weekend and it was running up a bill up to 2,700 rands. On that weekend, I was calling the whole South Africa. Yes, blah blah. I was crying when some girl, he's taking my card. Where is he at? Call your boyfriend, he knows him. Are they together? What's going on? Until eventually I called, I think it was Netbank, to do a stop order. I called the Netbank fraud department and they stopped it. Not a stop order, sorry, but a cancellation, some kind of a freeze on the whole account. I had to, again, more admin. Stop a card, like proper. Something like that cutting when not Standard Bank. Have to go, not Standard Bank, Netbank. I have to go and get another card from Netbank now because you're a fraudster. Anyway, whatever. During that weekend, I cried to my mom, I cried to my cousin, I cried to one of my friends, I cried to anyone that I could. On some this person has run away with my card. That's what's good. Including his own mom. So all of the women in South Africa in my life basically were aware that I had a bandit of a boyfriend that was busy stealing my money during a weekend where he was putting it up a storm, paying for his friend's booze at my expense. Yeah, well, I mean, after that event, I was like, yeah, I'm not staying. I'm leaving. I'm breaking up with this bugaboo. And guess what? Literally every last one of those females did. But he's your man. What? A man is supposed to be the one to provide for a woman, okay? And here it is that he's never mind not providing, but also stealing from her. Like he went on right ahead. I don't know what in the world he did to my nether regions, but he made them bleed for 3 months. Over and above, also making our own sex uncomfortable. That's what happened in that union. I was with a monster that I had a gut feel when that unfortunate lady from MTN was gutted by a boyfriend, that he might just do the same thing to me one day in the future. And the signs were all there, and my friends were aware, including my mom, my aunt, my pig, my dog, proper, anything at all that was in my life was aware that this guy leaves a lot to be desired. I should have been hugely encouraged, do you understand, by my entourage of females to leave. Get out before this thing gets too far, Karab. Ambalana, correct. This is not a situation you can trust, sister girl. This is not a place where you are safe, my lady. Amba, sister girl, go. We will help you march out of this thing. Sizok says that you can come and live in my house and sleep on my couch if you are sharing an apartment with this guy in the season of you transitioning to your own apartment where you are not cohabiting with him. But hamba, you must. Leave, you must, girl Zina. Kwamelu hambelana. Akho right, uzoba safe. La sisters, lo muntu lo, uzokulimaza kabuhlungu, uzokubhidlisa. Boom. This is a guy with a loose screw. He has a criminal knack. There is an edge in him that is wicked. But no, I was counseled by my sister. Goodness, guys. Wonkumuntu wanted me to get back together with this guy. Wonkumuntu. Everybody wanted to get me more. Not only my female friends, but even M17. Like, I had these colleagues that I was tight with. 2 of them were guys. And they'd be like, no, Mara, you can't leave Bobo. I mean, you guys have been together for 5 years. Oh, like that is a barometer for sticking around with rubbish. And so far as you've got years under your belt, and so far as you're gunning for a decade, this is something you can't walk away from because at least Lomuntu understands you. This person gets you. So, I mean, girl, yeah, he gets you, but he also gets your bank card. You got like what in the world? Marrying a man that I have got to basically put all of my assets in a safety security box from that he cannot access to be safe financially with him. A man that could do that to me. This was a possessive man that graduate him to new levels of demons. He could actually end up killing me. Lo and behold, he did exactly that. I was with him for 5 years. He's the last stable relationship I was in. I've been celibate for 12 years, single, therefore, for 12 whole years. Imagine, a woman, viable, beautiful woman, was so much going for herself. The last relationship she was in was 12 years ago. 12 years! The last stable relationship that lasted more than 2 months was 12 years ago. With a guy that went on right ahead to live his life and be merry. He went on right ahead to grab the wife and have the children. He did everything. But Karabo looks like Scorbo, like some ugly duckling that no man wants. 12 years! 12 years! Ever since I broke up with that guy. And I'm still single. And you don't think that that was my killer. You don't think that that is the tantamount of Usandile Manswe to Karabo Mugwen. You don't think that that is a tantamount of whoever it is that killed Udoli Shabalala. You don't think that that is a tantamount of the kind of man that puts it like you meet him and everybody thinks, oh, cute relationship, cute couple goals, hashtag like this is what I'm gunning for. And then he's the one to put your daughter in a casket. He's the one to put your best friend in a casket, your sister in a casket, your auntie. He's the one to end the relationship when nobody would have ever fathomed that he is the Oscar Pistorius to the Rieva Steenkamp. When you have met Oscar, the signs are always there until Rieva dies and everybody's like, well, I guess I kind of saw it coming. But then you go and you investigate all of the friends of Rieva. You go and investigate the aunties of Rieva. You go and investigate the mother of Rieva. You go and investigate basically the women around Rieva that could tell that she was with a monster. And just did not discourage her from staying in that relationship. Did not, speak to her, sense, reason with her. Did not do everything in their power to protect this woman from a future eventuality, from a future mortality. Just somebody that is going to be grieving to those left behind because of everything that was thrown in the direction of everybody to show that this woman needs to be rescued from that beast. So women, you are Salome in the worst way. You look at other women suffering at the hands of diabolical creeps. And you tell them, no, Maragelo, come on, that's your love, eh? Come on, you share so much. That's why, you've been together for so long. I finally broke up with this guy. Guess who was the only one to tell me get out and don't go back? Guess who was the only one to tell me step and don't go back? It was Jesus Christ of Nazareth. The Lord God Almighty from on high was the only one that gave me the right amount of counsel concerning this guy. At the end of our relationship, we organized a date. Because I had broken up with him because I was upset with something that he had done, and he called me yet again to reconcile because I'd been with him for so long and I wasn't sure if I should stick around. I prayed because I wasn't sure about God. I was investigating the things of God, but I had started to pray. So I was like, God, if this is the man, please show me, give me a sign. And indeed the Lord gave me a sign. He stood me up on that date. He didn't even come. He made his mom is the one that called me on some Bobo can't come to the date. It's yeah, this, and I was like, why isn't he calling me? I'm dating him, not you. What's going on? I was so angry, so upset. My heart was so broken that I dumped him. He acted a fool, could not care less that I left him again. And I cried and cried and cried after the whole eventuality until ultimately the Lord rescued me when I cried to him in the shower one day and I surrendered. So I asked God for a sign and he gave it to me. He said, you will organize a reconciliation meeting with him, but he will not pitch. I'm going to be the one to rip this man out of your life. Nobody else gave me counsel. And then after I gave my life to Jesus, that's when things were crystal clear now. That's when birds were chirping and streams streams of water were falling like outside of my house, and it was all peaceful and tranquil, and I was cool, content, not feeling a yearning to return back to this animal anymore, because that's always how I used to feel every time I'd break up with him in the past, because he had put some kind of a stick with me curse. This time around, I'd been set free. The bonds were loosed. Christ came to set me free since I was his captive. And because I was free and I was not therefore interested in going back there, now I got like calls. What the heck? Like from his family members. One of his cousins was like, no, but you guys are supposed to be together. You love each other. I was like, Nyegelen. That was his family members trying to get me to get back together with him. I then got calls from my cousin and some, no, but you guys belong together. Why did you break up, girl? I then told I told the cousin, your cousin young John Jelly, your cousin steals from me. Your cousin does ABC, and if he stood me up, he did all these strange things he's done. I'm sorry, he's not a good man. He doesn't make sense in my life. And she was like, no, but you guys can talk this thing out. You'll go through therapy. I'm sorry, therapy's not going to fix a bandit, a criminal, a murderer, a bloodthirsty rando in your house, okay? Yeah, that's why I keep saying my ex nang bora. If I had ended up married to him, I was going to divorce him inevitably. Yeah, okay, that was the one situation, okay? Then my cousin contacted me, and I told my cousin too, girl, remember the time when I couldn't stop calling you because he literally was swindling me of under 3,000 rands worth of money in my bank account? Yeah, Kumbula, do you remember that? Do you remember that? Well, this is another thing that he's done, another thing. And then there was also the drugs that he kept on snuffing. Like every time he would relapse into drugs, I was just like, I can't. Like, I am a 26-year-old woman. Frankly, I'm of marriable age. I'm of childbearing age. If I waste my time with this guy, I'm going to end up with a baby daddy that cannot take care of my babies. And I'm also going to end up married to a man that I can't stand. Or a man that's in a casket or in prison. A man that I'm going to have to go and besuk in prison. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. I'm too old for this. I am 39 years now. And this bugger has made sure that I don't go nowhere. That I don't do nothing. That's what's good. So behind every prostitute, understand, there is a pimp, but also behind every pimp is a woman that has helped him recruit women into his brothel. And all these women are like Salome. Women help wicked men stay in the lives of their girls because they know how destructive wicked men can be to women. Mona, jealousy, causes women to insist that their girls end up with some pretty violent animals. That's what's good. Jesus was the only way out of this relationship. I could not tell my mom anything. One time, I went to a funeral of a mutual friend's dad. Okay, and my ex was there, and there was chemistry between us, because I did love him. That never left. Okay, yeah. So it was almost like I went. I heard from a friend today, and she said you were in town. Suddenly, the memories came back to me in my mind. All of a sudden, nostalgia slapped, and my feelings were sort of kind of sparked, and there was electricity. But I had been told by Jesus, "Pumpele lana, leave." Left that establishment. My mom was also there at that funeral. So too was my older sister. Hey, Bato, when my mom wanted to leave, because now it was time to leave, she was like, "No, Mary, you can get a lift back home with your older sister." I was like, no, but I don't want a lift. I want to go home because you're going home. That's what's good. Yeah. My mom wanted me to stay to talk with my ex. I was like, oh, I told you Gutunja and Lomuntu. I told you what he's like. I told you. No, but it is not a... Oh, but and she literally called him... She used to call him Mukwenyana Wahai. Her Mukwenyana is a groom. She used to call my ex her groom, even though we'd broken up. Yeah. One of his aunties came to MTN one time because her daughter worked at MTN and she was there to see her daughter. And then she saw me in the coffee shop. And when she saw me, she was like, ooh, let's say the mom's name was Sarah. Ooh, nangumakoti Sarah. In the coffee shop with MTN, I'm broken up with this guy now about a year. And she's busy calling me the bride of Sarah of which is my ex's mother. Everybody, the auntie was a woman. They wanted me to get back together. His female cousin contacted me to get back together with him. Sarah wanted me to get back with him. Sarah, the auntie, his aunt, yeah, wanted me to get back together. Like, women that knew that this guy was the bane of my existence wanted me back together with a man that frankly was going to ransack impilo yam. This whole thing, yokubegezela. Like in black culture, they tell women, hold on, khotlela, hold on, to some of the most rubbish men. And next thing, these women either end up dead or very severely bitter, raising kids alone, afflicted, HIV positive, just some destruction, utter devastation of a woman. I told you, they come into a house and they start to, break cups and saucers and disarrange the cups and the spoons in the kitchen drawer. By a mosha, they vandalize. And then they jump out before the building bombs, and then they leave a woman hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. They leave a woman bitter until she is so destructive that she can't even love her own children. My mom imagined him, her mukwenyana, her groom. His family imagined me, his makoti. What? And my friends kept on calling me, telling me, but he's your ex, he's your man, girl. He's the one. As I guess, niyegelen is tigin and din. Zinjandu and yegelen. Nifunu ngimoshel impilo mina ninja. Ikamba lam ninginigezo lona. Usomandla so nyegelen. Leave me alone. Lost my 8. I have a future now in Christ. He's the one. Leave me alone. Ntrokeleng. I'm sorry about the English and moving away from it. But I'm not going to be with a man that is going to be the bane of my existence. A man that upon women, then finally getting to a point where they're like wincing. He's long basically burped your blood now that he has exsanguinated it out of your body. By the time lezinja lazy, ziti echu. By the time these women are like, this little bugger has already drank your blood. All the signs were there. What would my mother have done if this dude had finally just unleashed a live round into my head? Oh, I get it, how? I need your mkwenyana. If your mkwenyana, yeah, well, your mkwenyana and killed your daughter now. Your little mkwenyana has killed your kid. That's what's good. The same mkwenyana that she was busy ululating and singing the praises of on the rooftops has kept her daughter single for 12 whole years. Mkwenyana wakhe loyo. Yeah, I guess wakho vele umkhwenyana ngoba ukarabazanga wakhona ukuthi uthada omunye umntwana. Usa single, muhle kabi lo muntu. She's talented, gifted in so many respects. Kodwa akakajoli 12 years yonke. No muntu oyenza sense. Let's say nyoko nonsense yakwa America ibhizi abantu mulaya because monna ki mo wenza decision 12 years ago. Horo otlo etsa sure ex-girlfriend ya gagwe ga inyale gantle. I'm sorry again for speaking Tswana, guys. Or whatever my languages might be. I will revert back to English. This man made sure that I am in a lot of trouble. A whole bunch of deep sorrow is what I'm living in. So that gut feeling that I had after that unfortunate lady from MTN was butchered by a boyfriend, where I asked my boyfriend, would you do that to me? Yeah, no, that was from God. That was the Lord who knows the beginning from the end, Alpha and Omega. And so therefore he can tell what is going to happen, what's going to come to pass. The Lord was the one, even though I did not yet know him, that gave me that gut feeling enough to ask this man what would be at the time a taboo question along the lines of, would you make out of me like that colored girl that was butchered by her boyfriend? I asked my boyfriend and he laughed at me, and not even laughed, but he felt kind of offended on some. How could you even ask me if I'm capable of something like this? How could you even ask me a question like that? And indeed, my response to him was, I'm sorry. I guess I'm paranoid. Ke paranoid te mahala. Hauna reason. There is no reason why I should feel like you could potentially do this to me. But the Lord God Almighty foresaw. He knew what this man could and can't do. He knew what his capabilities were. And he also was aware, the Lord God Almighty, of what this man was presently in that particular state doing to me, and how it would culminate, how it would graduate, how it would grow, how it would manifest even further and further, how much deeper the wickedness in my ex would go. And it got to a point where upon then him being embarrassed over the fact that a most gorgeous woman, for crying out loud, is single for 12 years, her entire ecosystem has been devastated. A woman like that, it's embarrassing now. So now that guy that would never have killed a fly, but guess what, he would steal from a couple of flies, now he tried to cause me to commit suicide because I was too embarrassing. So the very same thing that I imagined was a possibility, something that could indeed happen, it happened. The very same thing that I feared could happen, happened. The very same thing that I feared could happen, happened. But this time around, I was so protected by God Almighty that his attempt at killing me did not quite succeed. So basically, the only person that rescued me from being John the Baptist with my head on a platter was Jesus. Jesus was the only one unprotected from Bosalume, from women that literally help men get some of the best women, and then they wince at funerals and have the brazen audacity to go keep crocodile tears at the funeral, saying, "Koto la matota nyongo. These men are rubbish. Hashtag men are trash. Hashtag Zinja dogs. Hashtag am I next? Hashtag GBV. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Tolang Basadi, because you're the ones that insist that girls, women literally end up with some of the most destructive men, because you have an inherent understanding of the fact that there is no better way to handle a woman or to destroy a woman or to rip glory from a woman than through a horrible man. A good, gracious, amazing guy can be the best thing that ever happened to a woman, okay? Can be the best thing since sliced bread. But a wicked man is thoroughly the destruction of a woman. And that is why back with a man that's trying to kill me, like proper. Why it is even that this American man is as crazy as he is because upon people realizing he was a charlatan, they try to get me to get back together with him, so he's being helped by witches to come back into my life, and he feels entitled. And he would not have felt this entitled and therefore able to pounce on a woman that does not belong to him if at all he did not have a Saloma on his side. If he didn't have women helping his cause along, cheering for this animal cheering for this animal to win a woman that does not belong to him. And now that he is trying to kill me, bonke labafazi zinja dogs ni mile. You are standing at the bleachers on the side doing nothing. If I ended up dying at this guy's hands, you would not have the brazen audacity to trend hashtag GBV, hashtag whatever, because I would have called you out on it. But most women are me just without the activistic flair. Most women who pass away are me without the activistic flair. They tried to protect themselves. They tried to get out of these relationships, and they were encouraged to go back to animals by other women. And some of these women, unfortunately, are the mothers of these women. Another story in point is Tina Turner. You know how Tina's mom helped Ike Turner basically keep on collecting Tina from her household every time she would try to run away. Women, asalume, they put other women in a position to suffer, and some of them are very unfortunately, I will keep saying this over and over again, the mothers of these women. Beware of narcissistic mothers. Beware of mothers who are so envious of their daughters that they would not want them to be happy in romance, happy in anything, to a point of telling her daughter to go back to a man that put a blue eye on her face, telling her daughter to go back to a man that stole money from her purse, go back to a man that literally caused her daughter to bleed for 3 months. Spiritual manipulation. I feel like your lawyer, your boyfriend, and not I have to just stay with a man, marry him, do all that jazz. They help wicked men along. These guys would not be as strong. They would not have so much muscle to kill women if other women helped women stay gone. It's hard to get out of a relationship a long term when you still love the guy, but when you've got the support from friends, you can stay gone. You can stay very successfully and happily gone out of a horrible relationship that frankly is going to put you 6 feet under, that's going to put you in a cold bed, that's going to put lacerations around your neck, that is going to put a noose around your neck because the muntlo na wenza to commit suicide, that is going to put a bullet in your brain, a man that's going to like burst a cavity in your knee, a man that's going to make like Michael Ealy in For Colored Girls and throw your children out of a balcony, leaving you reeling, mourning, with a husband in prison as a wife that frankly should have left long ago. A man that can murder suicide. The whole scene, Yako For Colored Girls, God keeps on replaying it for me in my mind over and over again, telling me that if you accommodated this animal from the US, not that it is a possibility, but just what a beast he is, he would make out of your life exactly what you saw in that movie For Colored Girls. Literally a man that's going to try and murder suicide all of the family. You would survive, for you've been protected, but he would have killed your kids and then himself. However, you would have had a bullet in your chest or in your brain that would have been surgically removed by doctors because you were the only one that survived that massacre. He's the kind of man that would have wasted maya agago because not to he was going to kill even your kids, the children that he wanted to put in your stomach, the fetish that he has of impregnating you, of sleeping with a woman that has not seen a penis in 12 years. That fetish of his, he was going to salivate and grunt after you, like literally grunting on your body. And when he was done, fertilize your eggs, give him 2 or 3 kids, and those kids were going to be put in a casket, because he was going to kill them. He's a Satanist. He was going to constantly keep on eating drugs all throughout your marriage until one day you would have come home in all of your glory, while he is a man of fokotsekhileng. And even though you would have been respectful towards him, he was going to put a gun in your head, the heads of your children, and then on himself, and you would have survived. The Lord used that story there, Michael Ealy, go For Colored Girls, not only that one, but also there is a woman that my mother knows from long ago, mother's age, etc., who would have children that are my age today, the age of me and my older sister or my cousins, my peers. Basically, this woman would have had millennial grown-up kids today. And she came back home one day to a bitter husband that had already killed her children, and when she got home they were on the floor dead. He then went on right ahead to unleash a bullet in her and then killed himself. She survived. She was the only one that lived to tell the story. One day we bumped into her at Clearwater Mall, and my mom told me the story. She was like, yo, this woman, and I remember just thinking, how in the world, when you know a story like that, can you then put your daughter in harm's way that much? Or compromised. Some, not all men are going to be like my dad, mom, who is a wimp and a coward, however, one that broke your heart, that shattered the living daylights out of you, cheated on you, but never would have killed you. My dad, in fact, my dad once actually did try to kill my mom. We saw it, me and my older sister. It's just that he was weak. His arms were frail, and my mom was stronger than him. And so he wasn't able to drive that knife into her heart. So my dad has tried to kill my mom before. My dad, who is now today late, he did not prosper to do it. They got divorced thereafter. And my mother, I was like, so you want me to marry the man that you married, that nearly killed you, did not succeed, however, in front of your kids. He nearly killed you in front of your kids. We would have been orphaned. He would have gone to prison, and we would have had to grow up with grandmother or whatever. You want me to marry that animal because that's the mistake you made. Because that's just the thing that converts women into Abu Salume. They make these mistakes, and then they are like, you know what? I don't get to be the only one embittered by a ravenous beast of a husband. My dad was a ravenous beast of a husband. I have got friends who are married to ravenous beasts of husbands. Why some of them are facing futures of murder-suicide, of kids being killed by a man that's crawling up the walls with demons because he won't stop practicing witchcraft. These demons, they culminate to a point where they make these men homicidal. South Africa has got an issue. There is a principality over the nation making men kill women. So it is a dangerous thing to allow yourself to be in a relationship with a man of this nature. And women are insisting, since these men have yet to graduate to a point of homicidalism, and they are encouraging their girls to stay with guys that are similar to their boyfriends. They are encouraging their girls to stay with guys that are horrible, because misery loves company until somebody is RIP. Until somebody is 6 feet under. I have had so many dreams and visions of some friend of mine from the past that put witchcraft on me that is going to die a horrible death at the hands of her husband. At the hands of her husband. I have stood in the gap for her multiple times. But this woman, if she does not repent, will inevitably go out like that. Inevitably. Inevitably. And I keep warning women, y'all need to understand your little competitive edge. This thing where you are throwing each other into, literally under the bus. Knowing that there is no single more destructive force than a wicked man in the life of a woman. And so you throw women into the lives of really terrible, terrifying men. You are signing their death warrants. You are like a contract assassin. You are like a decoy. You are the thing that has put your own friend in the Hunger Games arena. You have set your friend up for failure. You are a person that has taken money to put a person at the right place at the right time, much like Don, who is this, Don Design. Everybody knows that he basically betrayed. He was the Judas of AKA, even though the dude is not yet in prison right now. Yeah, bit of a Don Design that puts you at the right place at the right time to be massacred. That's what these women are doing. They're Don Design to freaking AKA. They put you in a position to be killed. And then when you've died, by the way, my mom has not only experienced that particular friend that I told you about in the past, there was another woman, very beautiful yellow bone, that was massacred, butchered, killed, shot a couple of times by her husband. When that story came, I was so scared because as a kid, I never knew or understood that kind of violence. And I had seen that woman just a weekend prior. And she passed away the next weekend because a jealous husband killed her. There is nothing more destructive to a woman than a bad man. And I was rescued from one. And now people are insisting that I settle for one because they're competing with me. You think that all that's going to happen is pretty much what happened with my mom's life, where you end up divorced, where your life really sucks, where you can't stand your ex-husband, where you are not the best mom, your life is really severely compromised. You think that's what's going to happen? Well, ladies, allow me to communicate to you that right now I am not facing a mere bad life outcome. I'm facing death. I am a Karobo Mogwena gawking at you. I'm a Dolisha Balala gawking at you. I am currently being killed by a man that, frankly, if I had allowed to come into my life, would have been content and cool for 5 seconds and then later on wreaked havoc in my life. From what the trajectory that the Lord gave me about this man is that of Michael Ealy in For Colored Girls. Kills my kids. And then, well, Michael Ealy did not put the gun on himself. But in my dream, the Lord showed me that he would also turn the gun on himself, but not before also trying to kill me, but I would survive. That's my future. I was facing that future with that man. So when I rejected him as vehemently as I am currently rejecting him, I understand it's because I'm trying to protect myself. But then women with their witchcraft try to get me to get back together with him. And now today, they have abandoned me at the hands of a murderer that has turned psychotic because I did not allow him to fake his personality for 5 seconds before he marries me. If I had let him come in, he would have wined, dined me, spoiled me, and done all that he could to basically keep himself in a bunch until we're married. But he would have one day have killed all the children that have ever been born from my womb. That's what the Lord showed me. And when I keep trying to protect myself from this guy, you think I'm trying to make out of myself a Shantae Moore that's gloating at you on some, I'm sorry that your man is playing games. That's not the truth, girl. Because I got proof, girl. I got a man at home. He's waiting on me. You think I want to gloat? You think I want to parade my better life in front of you? No, I am protecting myself. Marano, Abosalume, Nimilenje. You are waiting for John the Baptist to put not John the Baptist, but for Herod to put my head on a platter. America. This dude is a done deal. He's a goner. But you want to bring another man of that nature into my life. Understand, whether it is the tantamount of my ex-boyfriend or this dude from America, it's the same thing. My ex would not have necessarily, it would have taken him perhaps 10 years longer to kill me than this guy in America who's just trigger happy and can kill in 5 seconds. This dude would have massacred me very fast. My ex, however, would have taken a very long amount of time. He ultimately displayed that he could kill me. The gut feel I got all those years ago was accurate. So I'm protecting myself. So women, if you don't want to stand with with me, you proper don't have to. But the judgment is going to come to you. The offenses must come, thus saith the Lord. But woe to the man, or woman, I guess, in your case, through whom those offenses come. Women, you are disturbing, you are disgusting. You are allowing good girls to get into the households of wicked men. And understand, I'm not saying all men are nasty. I'm just saying the ones that women insist their best friends date, the ones that they insist their daughters marry, the ones that they insist their cousins, their aunties end up with, they're the wicked ones. Women, your jealousy is so violent that you are literally taking good wives away from men that are going to treat them better, and you are insisting that good women get decimated by horrible men. You have destroyed your life by compromising and settling. You married the animal, the beast that you had a gut feel you had to leave, and now you want to make Karabo marry that same beast too. Le batla go lo nyadisa motho o tsebang Jesu nyoko. I'm sorry, nna ke tseba Jesu. Had a friend as well who compromised all of her standards, did not want to have a child before wedlock, ended up giving some deadbeat guy 2 kids before wedlock, and he didn't even marry her. That's what these women want me to do. You want me to settle so that I can end up like a gorgon bitter like you, putting my own daughter in harm's way, putting like women in the community in harm's way, advising friends to get back together with men that one day are going to put them in caskets. I'm sorry, women. The Lord is about to deal with you in the worst way. Otole jaja. And I have already made it clear how it is that the Lord is going to judge women is by killing your husbands. He's going to kill the men in your life so that you all will remain widows and single spinsters well into old age, because you don't deserve men. You don't deserve to have anything polite and patriarchal and respectable and honorable in your lives. He's going to rip apart from you these men. And why it is that the Lord is going to kill these men is because these men are evil. It's the ones that you married. They are the Michael Ealy's. They are my ex-boyfriends. They are this guy in America. They are so evil that they have to be exterminated. They're so wicked that they have to be exterminated. So you married the mite. You married the maggot. You married the bed bug, the infestation, the cockroach, and God is about to fumigate. I told you, before the rapture happens, there will be a mild fumigation, evidencing the grace and glory of God to cause people to repent, and then we're going to go home. I'm going to get my apartment. I am going to be able to live some kind of a semblance of a normal life before the rapture happens, and in the run-up to Nisazo lahlelwa ngabadota we-o. You're going to lose husbands. You're going to have brothers pass away, drop dead. You are going to have your male bosses just die. Why? Because kiri korobela. They're full of witchcraft. They are cockroaches crawling up the walls. They've been made more and more nefarious, more and more evil by the fact that they've been supported by women. And so God is going to judge both men and women. Women by making you widows, and ones who have lost loved ones, brothers, etc. And the men are going to get killed by just, they're going to get knocked out. They're going to get killed. The men are going to get most of it. They're going to die because they're too destructive. And all that will be left is for recompense, comeuppance, and for those that have waited on the Lord to finally get their day in court. Watch the space that's happening. I keep getting dreams about this little random in America. Azama. And he prides himself in the fact that my mom is helping him along. My friends are helping him along. All the women in my life that are supposed to do a better thing, they're helping him along. And in my dream, he was trying to get me to basically salivate and grovel at his feet, saying that fine, nobody will love you, but I don't care because at least I'm being supported by even your family. Whoa! Banjanduwe, you are gonna die, Herode. That's what's good. I will never be a John the Baptist. I will never die. I am protected. 1,000 falls on my left, 10,000 on my right, but it does not come near me, for I am protected by the Lord. The angel of the Lord has borne me up in his wings that I might not strike my foot against a stone. I am entirely ensconced by the Lord God Almighty, so I will be the one woman that survives this massacring ideology. And when I finally get to live to tell the story, women are going to mourn, grieve, and regret not listening to me, because they're going to be widows, spinsters, and just single old ladies now that have got no one that is even trying to look at them anymore, because everybody's going to be upset at them. Men are going to get angry at these women. Whatever men remain that are left standing that will repent are going to be upset at our Salome, because they will have incentivized their insanity. Now, frankly, they're supposed to be the ones that are heading the whole atmosphere, but they're falling apart. Everybody is falling apart. So men are going to end up incredibly angry at wicked women that made them feel like they could have their bread buttered on both sides and have their freaking cake and eat it too. Just watch this space. I'm signing out in Christ's name, Cran K. Bye.